Hello, my people. How are you guys? Uh, Thank you very much for your support. I can see the views are increasing hour by hour. And for those of you who commented, thank you very much for your time. Today, we are going to be analyzing the risk assessment of health, safety, and our environment, and our environmental standard in Africa, which I promised you guys that I will try as much as possible to the best of my own ability to break it down to everyone understanding. Um, what exactly is risk assessment? Risk assessment is the overall process we use in identifying hazard, risk, factors that have potential to cause harm. Then we proceed on how to control that risk. Let's take for example, drinking water is a risk. Eating is a risk. Walking on the highway, most especially which we practice in Africa every blessed day, is a risk. You see, going long distance travel from one state to another, traveling from one country to another is a risk. But all these risks, how do we grade them? You understand? Some risks are just very little, some are very high. So how do we grade them? And if there's this risk, how can we control those risks? For it not to affect us, for us not to lose any of our loved ones. So for that, most of you know me already. My name is Adeboye Sodiq. And today we'll be talking about risk assessment. I've told you what exactly risk assessment is, and we'll be going to the next stage of risk assessment. What are the stages of risk assessment? Risk assessments have 5 stages, which are identifying the hazard, decide on people who might be harmed, or who might be harmed and how, evaluate the risk and decide on precautions, record your findings and implement them, review your assessments and update if necessary. And the last but not the least, which I included myself, is continual improvement. What exactly do we mean when we say identify the hazard? I told you everything we do in this life carry a risk. If you drink too much water, you will not be able to sleep. If you eat too much food, you know by yourself, you are not going to feel good. Keep gassing everywhere you go. For you walk long distance for you to start digesting the food. Even breathing sometimes may be difficult. If you think I'm joking, check all this food competition. You will find what I'm talking about there. And when we are talking of identifying the hazard, I'm not talking of just any hazard. I'm talking of the hazards that we discussed in our previous video. For those of you that have not watched our previous video, I'm going to put the link below for you to watch it. We are having biological hazard, chemical hazard, physical hazard, safety hazard, agronomic, and psychosocial hazard. If you want to know more about them, you can check our previous video, which the link is available for you. And decide on who might be harmed and how. When I'm talking of deciding on who might be harmed and how, we are talking of new workers, in a company, young workers, people like me that have dreadlock, that, they put their galas is very high, and they are always wanting to impress. We are talking of migrant workers who find it very hard to settle. When they are moving from their country to the other where they don't know anybody, it has not been easy. New or expectant mothers. When I'm talking of new or expectant mothers, I'm talking of people who are just pregnant or people who are heavily pregnant. Some, they are very energetic when they are pregnant. Some, they are going to be sluggish, if you know what I mean. When we talk of people with disability, in the UAE, they call them people of determination. Those of us who are lucky to go through the training exercise conducted by the Dubai Police Academy for people of determination. People of determination means people who are amputee, they lost their hand or they lost their leg or they are using the wheelchair or they have one kind of condition that does not make them walk fast. And those of us who attend that training, if you can look very close, you will see this. I don't know if you see it clearly. It's been issued to everyone who attended the training at Dubai Police Academy. You see, in our Africa, I think we call them the less privileged. All these people are the people you have to put into consideration when you are deciding on who might be harmed and how. And the next stage is evaluating the risk and deciding on precaution. You see, you have to ask yourself some kind of question before you do something. This thing I'm about to do, is it going to be worth it? Let's take for example, you are receiving $30 per month because people earn such in Africa, $30 or $40 per month. Then there's a course going on and okay, if I should try as much as possible to do this course is going to cost me $100. If I want to do this course, it's going to take maybe 6 to 8 months, or let's say 1 year. How am I going to go through it? And I'm earning very, very less, about $30. You see, the risk you are going to take is you have to cut short some things. First, maybe from your food. If you used to go shopping, you have to reduce it. If the kind of meals you eat, if they are very expensive, you have to reduce it. You see, those kind of risks are the risks to take to better your life. Then you start paying, okay, instrumentally, $15 every month. I'm just saying it in dollar so you can be able to compare it to any African country currency. Then when you pay it in 6 to 8 months, you've covered your bill for the course. And at the end of the day, when you get a job, you might get a better job of $300, $400, $500 per month. Now you understand. These are the kind of risk I'm talking about. I'm not talking about those people that walk by foot from Africa to Europe looking for a greener pasture or going to sell their kidney for money and thinking, okay, if they play sport bets, they can double the money or triple the money. So they will look for another donor, they buy the kidney, and they continue living their life. The next thing you are supposed to do after evaluating that risk and deciding on precaution, you've checked the risk if you can get rid of it altogether. And if you cannot, how can you control it? So that the harm is very, very unlikely to affect something. It's like a dog. You already put a mouth guard on the dog. So the only thing is maybe the dog will scratch you, but it won't be able to bite. But in health and safety, what we use is the hierarchy of control. Hierarchy of control has 5 stages. We have the elimination method, substitution method. We have the engineering control, we have the administrative control, and the last of the list is PPE, personal protective equipment. These are stages you use in eliminating risk to ensure that they are very, very minimal to the extent they cannot, injure or wound anybody. Now, after you've done those, you've followed the hierarchy of control, then you review your risk assessment and update it if necessary. Everything you are doing for the first time in this life, sure, there are going to be some changes you do to it the very next time you are going to do it. I'm talking of those of us that just got our first job, You can imagine how excited you are. But everything you keep doing mistakes. But the second time you are going to be trying it, you know how it's going to be. Those of you that just got your driving license, you know how excited you are that, okay, now I'm a driver. Just getting a driving license is different. But knowing how to drive safely is another job on its own. Then understanding the road signs and so on and so forth, which we are going to be discussing in another of our episode. So when you are reviewing you think about the changes that affect your first conduct, the conducting you did for your assessment. You see? Then you can think of things like maybe the first time you did it, it was during summer. The weather was okay. But now it's winter, or in Africa where there's lots of rainfall, there's high wind and lots of weather condition. For my guys at North Africa, they have lots of sandstorm, you know. Some parts of Africa that has snow. It's easier for them also. Then you think about footfall. Footfall means the amount of people that came into your business area. Maybe before you always expect only 10, 15, 20 clients based on the kind of things or the kind of service you render. It might increase during peak hour like celebration period, let's say November, December. Like any risk you've assessed that, okay, this is going to be the problem. If my clients come, this is why they are complaining, or this is why we are having such kind of problem, or this service is not moving the way we expect it to. You wrote everything down. You already assessed them. Don't keep this to yourself. This is where we go do it wrong, Africans. You have an idea. Instead of you to share it, you be like Akagon. They call it super glue. You put your hand like this. Only me, only me, only me, only me. When only you know it, we don't pray for anything to happen to you. How is it going to be utilized if you keep results with you? You know, share them. We have WhatsApp, we have Facebook, we have LinkedIn, we have lots of social media platforms where you can share your ideas. Then under the comment box, which I really appreciate for those of you that commented on our last video, which I put the link below. You see, they are going to tell you, give you ideas of what happened. Okay, this was where you go wrong. This is what you did wrong. And when you are reviewing, you review based on all the information you got from either from your clients or from your friend or well-wishers. You review together with that and you update it. You know, everybody, anytime you are doing something for the first time, it's always very, very tough. We all know that. But when you are trying it the second time, it's going to be easy because you are familiar with things that could go wrong. Look at Elon Musk. His first rocket, trying as much as possible to go into space. Boom. It got damaged. The second one. But at the end of the day, he achieved his dream. Now he can fly with SpaceX company from the Earth to the moon or to the other planet without damaging all his items. And for his rocket launchers, they come back to the same place they launched from. Now you can imagine that is progress because he has reviewed, he has checked, he has assessed his risk, they all know what is happening, they reach to scientists and so on and so forth. These are the difficult things you do not see with people who are successful. While the sleepless nights, the unlimited calls they make just to ensure that this thing goes the right way. You see, you make sure you are up to date with anything you are doing. What you've learned from the accidents, like Elon Musk, your near misses. You see, things that you don't think about before. Maybe due to weather condition or the footfall, if you are into business. You see complaints of clients. You see, like Elon Musk is working with investors also all over the world. If his company is not doing well, you know, it will be bearish. It will be going down. The investors will be complaining that we invested in your company to make profits. So what is happening? You see, these are the risks people have to take. Some people get loans from bank, which they don't even know where they are going to get it from. But those are risks you assessed. Not those ones crossing from Africa to Europe. You see, you check the complaints of clients, complaint of your well-wishers, complaint of people who are commenting, like very good people that supported the Africa HSE group and our channel. And I'm going to say special thanks to the First Africa HSE organization in UAE. Also, they have been so supportive. You see, lots of people are getting jobs through their platform. Now, they are, giving trainings on health and safety in the environment. You see, These are the things we do to improve Africa. And there are some people behind it as well. There are lots of bad talk about it. Do you think you can make it? Are you going to make it? How do you think it's going to be possible? This is not your country. Everything, every great thing starts very little. And slow and steady, when you start facing the challenges, by God's grace, you'll be able to overcome the challenges slow and steady. Now you see why you need to review all your findings during your risk assessment. I'm going to show you a risk assessment profile I built by myself, just for you guys to ensure if you are in a job already and you are trying as much as possible, to create a risk assessment file. These are the things you have to do. The RA descriptions, it means the risk assessment description, describing the kind of activity you want to carry out. I only use this as installation of wiring accessories. It might be plumbing, it might be housekeeping, it might be firefighting equipment, it might be, lift, it might be different kind of things. All kind of jobs has their own risk. That is what you are going to put in there. And the projects you are going to be doing, I only use this as, as an example. So the location where that is going to be, I'm talking of the location where you want to start, that maybe you are building a house or a mall or there's one contract, the location of that place, then dates. I only put all this for example. Please don't get it wrong. This is not what is going to be there. You have to write the exact date that you are providing that risk assessment document, and the document number has to be at the top, as you can see. Then you go for the names of people who are going to be in charge of that site. You see, from the QA and QC, those are quality management, from the surveyor, from the safety manager, from the safety engineer, from people who are going to do the soil test, from, lots of like the first aider, people who are going to be supplying the projects, the drivers, and so on, the people who are going to be in charge of each department that is going to work there. You see, the designation of people who are in charge are down. These are the project managers, mechanical managers we speak about, the site engineers, and the safety engineer. Their initials and their surname first. Then, if they have any other name, you continue with it. And all these people, you have to ensure that before you carry out this activity, they have to approve it. Okay, so there won't be any problem in future. Then they will ask them, sir, do you know about it? They said, nobody informed me about this. You can imagine how embarrassing that is. You are the project manager, or you are the site engineer, you are the safety manager, or you are the mechanical engineering manager. You see? And something's happening and they tell you said you don't know about it. So why are you on site? Now you understand why all this you have to deal with. Then we talk about the next page, the required and existing control measure. This project has to be achieved in the maximum way safely. You see the method statement. Method statement means a specific way you used to do something, how you carry out work safely, to describe the risk of that kind of job you want to do, maybe working at height, maybe excavation, maybe you are going to go through a confined space, maybe there's going to be a lot of fire coming out from the kind of activity you do. So the way you are going to carry it out, the risk associated with the job, and the safety precautions you are going to put in place. Okay, like people who are doing hot work, you are going to have a fire extinguisher, you are going to have the sand, most in Africa we use sand and water. You see, all these kind of things you have to understand. The method statement is going to analyze those things. So if those method statement has been there, you are going to attach the documents. So anybody wants to read it, it will be in PDF. Anyone wants to read it, we're going to do it. So you see, the SWP is Safe Working Procedure. You see, and vendor specification. These are procedures that you have to explain. Okay, this you have done it. When you have done it, you click yes, or you add yes, or you put it in a color. This is just my own, my own idea. You can do it better than this one, I'm very sure. I know you are well educated. So then you talk of special permits required. We are going to be talking about that in another of our episode, the kind of jobs. Because all high-risk job activity needs permits. Confined space entry, working at height, hot work, working in live electrical plants. All these things need permits, because you can't just go and be working 15-story, 20-story building, boss. Or you get electrocuted. Who's going to be at fault? Those permits you have to prepare, and the equipment and tools you have to use have to be registered. You check the maintenance record of those tools. The ones that must not be more than 1 month, the ones that must not be more than 3 months, the ones that must not be more than 5 months. All this training that are supposed to be given to all staff and their certification, we are going to be discussing it in another episode. So keep following us, you will get all this. And the competency certificates that will be issued after they've gone to those training. Some people will go for the training, but they don't wait for the certificate because they did not complete their training. So you have to be sure that they went for the training and they have a competency certificate. Then you move to the risk assessment matrix. The severity of the job, of the hazard, the likelihood that this thing is going to harm somebody, and the outcome. Because risk itself can be defined as something that has the potential to cause harm. And the severity of the outcome of this thing. So this is the risk matrix, how we arrange them. If the risk is not, is very minimal or almost certain, because no matter how small it is, there will always be a risk associated with it, attached to it. Or if it's 2, if it's 3, if it's 4, if it's 5. If it's 5, that means it's catastrophic. All these things you have to understand. And the fatality or death, that if this thing happened during this hot work or entering this confined space where there will be less oxygen, is it going to be fatal? Can it result to death? If it cannot, okay, can it be a major injury or the illness? Or can it be serious injury or illness? Or can it be minor injury or maybe something heavy, or nothing less than just bruises or scratches or cuts, which first aider can attend to? Then you rank those risks, which we speak of at the beginning of this video. If it's potentially catastrophic, and which action might be needed immediately. You see, the rating, I only put H+ because very high. But if its potential is just major, an action needs to be taken in 12 hours. Which means if you want to do this work, it must be between this time to this time. Then if it's just a serious one, which someone can work, but in 48 hours, they need action to be taken. If you know you have the money to rent the machine that can chisel for you, kalas, at the end of maybe some hours, you are done. But you can imagine when you are using your potential energy to chisel. These are the kind of things that happens. So we move to the next stage of possible causes of loss producing events or hazard. Things that cause problem on site, which cause almost all the accidents in this life. And please, if I'm missing anything, in the comment box, kindly I say, kindly put anything I've missed down. You see, in the adverse environment, where there's noise, lighting, restricted area, heat, cold communication, people in the rural area, when they are asking who is on farm, Talowa Loco, you see, they send their voice louder, they shout. Maybe if there's someone in their surrounding, within little miles to them, can reply them, okay, I'm here. Things like that, like, who's there? Then somebody will attend to them. Then we are talking of moving machinery, nip points, revolving parts, interlock and valves, and so on and so forth. So I don't take much of your time. Slipping and falling. You can see floor condition, falling from height, excavation, scaffold and ladder, platforms, falling from vehicle. These are things that are above 1.8 meter, which is 6 feet. Then electricity, isolation, damage cable, and so on. Explosion, detonators and explosive, light alloy, vehicle tire. Explosion, I mean, I'm not talking of only nuclear bomb. Your tire can God burst because it's weak. You see? Flame proofing, field trips, fuel tanks, gas bottles, bullets, fire extinguishers, boilers and pressure vessels. Those are the things I'm trying to talk about. Moving vehicles, you see, pedestrian secure load. This one we do it in Africa. Sometimes you don't even find the vehicle at all. You only see the windshield and the driver's head in one corner like this. All the loads would have covered it all. All this we are going to be talking about in all our other upcoming episodes. We are going to explain all these pages, but I'm just giving you an overview of what is happening. Then falling objects from height, health hazards, you see, fire, sudden release of material from water tank, dams, pressure, flying objects, hazardous chemical, oil lubricants, and so on. Those of you working in filling station, as we call it, as a petrol pump. Hazardous chemical, then fall of ground during shoring and brazing, during excavation. Then stress during material handling, document handling, high workload, heat stress, mental stress, pressure system for plumbers, you see, and temperature. All this we are going to be discussing in some of our upcoming episodes. And now, hazard and risk identification. This is how to prepare, but this is just an overview. I know you can prepare better than this. If you have anyone better, you can give us in the comment box. Just post it there, then we'll do something about it. The L, S, and R means likelihood, severity, and the risk associated with that job. From the risk matrix, you calculate it. If the L, which is likelihood, if the severity is, I only put all this as an example, but this can help you as well. If the severity is catastrophic, critical, serious, medium, minimal, you see. If the risk is high or low or medium as well, you are going to be seeing it here. So you have to explain all these things. Then the kind of job you want to do. So the hazard identified from that job is handling, unloading, and lifting operation, fall from height, scaffold, blah, blah, and so on and so forth. People who can be at risk. You see, they say something like 5 wives and 1 husband. If you can remember that. Who, what, where, why, when, and how it happened. Which means who it happened to, what happened, how it happened, why it happened, where it happened, when it happened. This must always be in any report, which as a safety practitioner, for your report to be complete. Then the control measure, which I told you about, the hierarchy of control, the elimination method, substitution method, engineering control, administrative control, and the personal protective equipment. Also, you have to include that as well there, just for you to make sure you don't do any mistake. Okay? And the last one, which is the safe work procedure, SWP. This also, we are going to be explaining more of all this in another of our episode. You see, you submit the work method statement for approval. If you've done that, the controls you have put in place to ensure that this does not happen, you review of company HSE procedure and risk assessment. This happened during audits. For those of you who are certified ISO 45001 like me, who are lead auditors, you understand this very well when you are doing the occupational health and safety management system. And induction of supervisors and workers in risk assessment and other relevant things I already put here. I don't want to waste your time. The issuing of permits, a toolbox store, continuous monitoring, monitor of supervisor who are supervising other, provision of PPE, and so on and so forth. And at the end of your risk assessment, this must be included. Never forget. Because everybody who participated in the, safety meeting or safety tour has to sign this. They are, I only put this. This CO number means the company number. You can just put the company number or ID card number. That's what I mean, like employee number. It depends on you, anyhow you want to prepare yours, but I'm just giving you an overview of what it's supposed to look like. You see, I the undersigned, which means the person who signed this or write their name, hereby acknowledge that this risk assessment has been discussed with me, because in terms of an accident on or a fatal injury or something that needs for the site to be closed down, during investigation, the safety officer will be called and say, okay, show us the record of the training you've done when you started this site, how you plan the procedure you've put in place for your risk assessment. This shows, okay, these people are involved and it has been discussed with you. You're on a safer side, that I understand the content and the risk involved in this task to be performed before they sign. You see, because you've explained everything to them. And I have also been instructed on the safe methods to perform this task. You understand me now? So their names will be there, their signatures as well will be there. You as well, who is the safety officer, you are going to sign. The safety manager would sign. Project manager would sign. The person who's in charge of the surveyor, he will sign. The welding manager would sign. Electrical manager would sign. You see, all these departments that risk are, surely you can always find this. They have to be involved in the case. Even the people in charge of transport, how they do their milk run and so on and so forth, for taking of different materials from one place, from one client to another, just to bring everything together to your site. The person in charge of the transportation also have to be aware. And the safe method is using to do all the driving. So the driver are safe, are they competent, and so on and so forth, which we'll be discussing in our next episode. I will really say thank you very much for you guys, and hope you all have a lovely day ahead. Bye. Thank you very much for your time for watching this. And if you would like us to continue with this and know more about HSE and everything we've discussed earlier, click the like button, subscribe on our channel, and hit the notification button. So anytime we are going to post, they are going to inform you. Let's make Africa great once more. And thank you very much. See ya. Catch ya later.